Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am having to talk a little bit low today because I have a house full of people that have been here for Christmas. So I hope all of you had a Merry Christmas. Now, in this video, this is what, it's very rare that I skip an entire day doing videos, and I did so yesterday. And so my wheels have been turning, and I've been putting together all these things in my mind that I've picked up over the last few years. And I think this video is going to be a real eye-opener to let you all know what I think is really going on. And I think that at the end of this video, you'll have your aha moment, which I love to give you in videos. So let's start here. I want to make sure there's a misconception that's cleared up first. Bitstamp had tweeted this out yesterday. Bitstamp is an exchange they're out of Europe. And there was many people online that were saying that XRP was going to be halted trading in Bitstamp, and they thought that it was in Europe. They're like, oh, well, it's a European exchange. Well, they actually have, I don't know if they have a branch in the U.S., but they're halting it in the U.S. They're not halting it in Europe. It's just the U.S. If you look right here, we're going to halt XRP trading and deposits for all U.S. customers so not worldwide. Now, this is what I said. I'm getting all the XRP I can get my hands on before these exchanges halt XRP trading. I've been told since I got in this that it's not for us. There is more going on than meets the eye. #0doubt, and there is. I'm going to show you a lot of it. This video may be pretty long, but it'll be worth your time. Okay, so check this out. This was a reply to, I can't read it from there. This was a reply from EasyXRP to my tweet. The XRP game plan laid bare. Despite conflicting information from the same sources, perhaps deliberately misleading, I know, bankers, right? My research leaves me 100% convinced of the following. XRP is a revived Keynesian bancor and will replace the now defunct XDR basket model. The bancor was regarded as too imaginative at the time. Instead, the Bretton Woods Agreement adopted XDR, special drawing rights. The bancor idea, supranational currency, which Chris Larson said he believes XRP is going to be, used in an international trade as a unit of account within a multilateral clearing system, has 21st century update with blockchain protocols, and what results is XRP, going back to the future in a cryptocurrency kind of way. As the bancor model and the XDR model, the unit of measure is allocated by the IMF to countries and cannot be held or used by private parties. I believe this will also be the case with XRP, which is described as built for enterprise use for banks and payment providers. This is the most interesting part right here. Listen up. Expect a buyback. There are probably more reasons why than the following, but I think Ripple allowed retail investors like us to buy XRP because our money and our transactions were needed to build and test the network. The buyback, I need some coffee here. The buyback will probably go down as one of the most generous investor buybacks in history, though, to soften the blow, because soon as they get it all back, each XRP token will not be worth an ounce, but a kilo of gold. All the money on Earth digitized into only 100 billion tokens. One hell of an expensive token. All right, and this right here is what I've always believed. In fact, some of the guys I talk to that are influencers in this space, the crazy part about this trading halt that they're talking about right now is we were talking about this a year ago, that there could be trading halts in order to possibly do a setting of the price. Okay, so this is fascinating what's going on, but I'm going to lay out for you what people deep down, they don't want you to hear this. Well, keep watching. So, esoteric XRP. Now, I've told you many times on this channel, there's a lot of people that have been in this space that that were on Twitter, and then they were saying things that sounded like they knew something, and then they all disappeared one by one by one. Well, this guy's one of them, but Esoteric XRP keeps bringing them back out. Another one that said they want you out. Before it begins, we want you out. Remember that without a doubt, when we smell huge opportunity, we then control the charts, you see. And this is like some kind of little poem or whatever. But it says, there's one thing you do not see that makes you question reality. Behind closed doors at London R3, a new world awaits. XRP. It's all rhymes, by the way. Before it begins, we want you out. Remember, without a doubt, when we smell huge opportunity, Anyway, that's the whole theme of is that, and I've been told this a lot too. It's not for you, and they want you out, or they need you out at some point. Okay? Now, moving along. Okay, so Michael at VAL5 links. This is regarding the SEC suit against Ripple. He says Ripple will either be victorious or settle out of court with the SEC, which I totally agree with. They're not going to shut Ripple down. It's not happening. And I said, and this is why this is such a great opportunity for those that know what they own in XRP. And that's what I fully believe. But wait till you finish watching this video. You're going to have a whole different perspective on what's really going on at the end of this. Heo Seiko Carmona sent me this. And again, sorry, I have to talk a little lower than I normally do. This is a little thing that has been overlooked. Okay. If I am, authorities, and I am planning to close down some nefarious business or something that's going on, let's say, not to compare Ripple to this, but let's say that I am the DEA and I am going to shut down some drug dealers or whatever. The last thing on the planet Earth that I'm going to do, if I really think they're bad guys, is tell them that I'm coming. Well, this guy makes a very good point here that I think is way overlooked. Jesse Hines says the company that they believe, he's talking about the SEC and Ripple, the company that they believed to be the bad actors, at least he's saying they gave Ripple at least a 24-hour notice before the public that an action was coming. With this information, Ripple could have dumped their massive available XRP supply on the market. They could have informed their partners, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying Ripple did this. I'm saying that the SEC has alleged these exact acts in the complaint and then gave the company that it believed to be a bad faith actor at least 24 hours notice before the public. That doesn't sound like protecting investors to me. In other words, but what I'm getting out of this is something different. What I think is I don't think that they think Ripple's bad actors at all. I think that they gave them notice because all the world's a stage. That's what I think. Now, moving along. Just wanted to bring this one out because I think this is important for people to know too. Also sued by the SEC, Elon Musk and Tesla, Jeff Bezos and Amazon. I think that's some pretty good precedent. Okay. And now, and believe you me, this is going to get really interesting as we go along. XRP Crypto Wolf, SBI's statement on the proceedings against Ripple by the SEC. Over 90% of Ripple's customers are outside the U.S., and 80% of the volume of the international remittances occur outside the U.S. SBI believes the impact of this matter on Ripple's consolidated business results will be minor. Okay, I'm not going to go into their document, but that's the gist of what it says. So FBI is not sitting around worried about this. So I told you before that you find out who your enemies are in situations like this. Roger Ver is obviously not an enemy. He's one of the friends of Ripple. He was one of the first 2 or 3 guys there, by the way. He says, the SEC claims to protect consumers, but the reality is that they cause moral hazard, destroy billions of dollars worth of wealth, and protect incumbents against upstarts. It is time to let Consumer Reports replace SEC. Okay, now, moving along. Okay, so then we had Mike Novogratz, who he hasn't said anything, but I'm sure he's behind the scenes thinks that he's probably gloating about Ripple being attacked like this. But watch, this is him on CNBC after all this was going on. He's talking about crypto.
Big topic of the year, Bitcoin has taken a wild ride starting 2020 at about $7,000 per coin. It's now trading at $23,000, and that's a gain of about 220%. But there's a sour note for crypto investors as we end the year. The industry could be facing some forceful new regulations thanks to the Treasury Department and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin on his way out. Joining us now to explain is Mike Novogratz, Galaxy Digital CEO. Mike, it's great to see you. What I can understand about what's happened really even over the past 2 weeks is the move in Bitcoin against the backdrop of what appears to be an effort by Mnuchin on his way out to effectively regulate a good part of this business, and people like Brian Armstrong of Coinbase and others saying this is a real problem, and yet the price keeps moving higher. Square the circle.
It tells you about how powerful this bull market is, right? They're throwing lots at the system, and it's not actually impacting it. But let's be careful. You know, these regulations really are hitting the stable coin market, and they're not actually designed to go after Bitcoin and Ethereum per se. They're designed to go after the companies that traffic in them. And those are mostly companies with retail. So at Galaxy, nothing changes. We've KYC'd, AML'd all our clients because we have institutional clients. And so we've got this institutional wave of money coming into crypto, right? Mass Mutual, an insurance company, buys $100 million for their general account. That's giant news, right? That needs to get approved by the Fed and by the insurance regulator. And so we're seeing no slowdown in the adoption of Bitcoin specifically with our institutional clients. Mnuchin put on the Grinch hat. Like, 2 weeks before he's leaving, he decides to be the Grinch. This stuff should have proper 60-day comment period. It's kind of endemic of the Trump administration trying to jam in legislation. And quite frankly, there are a lot of unintended consequences. This is anti-dollar, right? It's pro-China in lots of ways, and it's anti-innovation. It is going to push a lot of the cool stuff that's happening in crypto offshore. The other thing to think about when you step back is, think about Travis Kalachnik with Uber, right? In order for him to get Uber done, he smashed regulations, state regulations, city regulations. Heck, they even banned him in the Hamptons. And at one point, consumers demanded Uber. And, he kind of pushed the edge of the envelope. We can't do that at Galaxy. We're a regulated entity. But lots of these crypto companies, both onshore and offshore, are willing to push regulation and build great innovation. Right. I would love an administration. I would love a regulatory framework that embraces.
So basically, this guy believes, and we're all supposed to believe, that the one company, remember, these guys are, Bitcoin is this thing that's going to, we don't need the down with the governments. That's what Pompliano says, all that. We don't down with the banks. We don't need Bitcoin represents this anti-government thing. Meanwhile, you have this company Ripple over here who's been working with the governments from day one and being very transparent about everything. And these guys, what we're supposed to believe is that the government is going to come after that company instead of coming after the other. I think it's just the opposite of what these guys think. But watch what you'll see. Keep watching. Riz XRP sent me this one. Now, before I show you this, I want to make every chance I get from now on. I'm going to always remind you the people who are enemies of XRP and Ripple. They showed their face, and it's going to be the biggest mistake they ever made. But Anthony Pompliano, I've got to remind you what he said when he thought Ripple was being attacked by the SEC. Good morning to everyone except the people who thought they could sell unregistered securities and get away with it. Okay, I'm not going to let anybody forget that one. Okay, so here he is on CNBC, and listen to what he says. If I can get past this little ad here.
Anthony, to that point, I mean, in terms of regulation, you've got this Treasury proposal on wallet regulations right now that do seem, at least from first glance, a little severe, to say the least. What could that risk, I guess, entail? What's the reality in terms of that being implemented, especially if you do have this 2-week comment period over the holidays? And what other regulations potentially would maybe create a more amenable environment for some of that institutional money to flow in more freely?
Yeah, look, Bitcoin is a $430 billion asset. 20x from here gets you to a gold market cap. I think that'll happen before the end of the 2020s. But regulation is definitely something to pay attention to. One of the things to be clear about this wallet regulation that has been proposed is we know that KYC and AML don't actually deliver most of what the promise of it was. What I mean by that is there's a lot of studies out there that show that by conducting just absolute, financial surveillance, what happens is there's so much information that ends up getting collected that it's hard to find the signal in the noise. And so what we need to do is we need to come up with much smarter regulations where we don't just say, hey, let's surveil everything.
Right. So he's making the brilliant point that we don't need to surveil everything because these drug dealers, ignore them. We don't need to surveil all of that. I mean, he's on this side that is anti-government, and he really believes that that Bitcoin is this thing that, they're completely okay with, but they're not okay with Ripple, who's been working with regulators for 8 years, not believing it.
And also on top of that, I think we have to remember that there, in Bitcoin specifically, there is a public ledger. And so every single transaction is put into that public ledger. And so this asset specifically.
Okay, now this is about to heat up. Watch this. This is, what's his face? Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. And listen to what he says out of nowhere to Anthony Pompliano. You're
Mark
probably
Cuban
like
thinks
this.
it's a nothing. It doesn't sound like your buddy from Shark Tank. Mark Cuban thinks it's a nothing burger and irrelevant. And I just saw a story last night when I was reading up.
Okay, here we go again. Let's see if we can get it this time.
It doesn't sound like your buddy from Shark Tank, Mark Cuban, thinks it's a nothing burger and irrelevant. I just saw a story last night when I was reading up to prepare for this segment. Headline: Dallas Mavericks offer special merchandise discounts for Bitcoin buyers. So, I mean, that's another arena, pardon the pun, where you could see legitimacy to Bitcoin from people like Mark Cuban, your buddy, who are trying to make this a more relevant part of people's lives.
I know Mark quite well. He also was quoted saying he thinks bananas are a bigger common currency, and he's probably right. I want to go to Pomp's issue about this idea that you're protecting your capital buying Bitcoin. There is no evidence that it has a reverse correlation to correcting markets. Last March, if you owned Bitcoin, you got slaughtered, and you had a lot more volatility than the S&P. My whole point is there's a lot of interesting ideas here, and certainly the fact that a Bitcoin, all the other ones haven't worked, but Bitcoin has. This concept of a digital currency is one that would work, and my whole point is,
by the way,
for all of
that's not correct. XRP has worked.
us, including you, Scott, who monitor and work within the financial services multi-trillion-dollar global industry, is this a nothing burger? It's not even a single cell amoeba. If you took all of the market cap of Bitcoin, totally irrelevant. I love to talk about it. It's fun to watch it go up and down. But during the day when the bell rings, I don't talk to anybody that's worried about this. They do not put capital to work in Bitcoin. Maybe it's fun if you're an individual high net worth person that wants to just play with it. But the financial markets deal with regulators. And you can only operate within the confines of those rules. And so when we glorify something like this, it really has nothing to do with the financial markets that make the whole world work. And no institutional or sovereign fund investor I've ever talked to has said to me, go index all of the cryptocurrencies for me. And the reason they don't want to own that is they fear the regulator. Yeah. And watch what happens one day. And I'm waiting for this one. I'm waiting for the day that one of these regulators comes down hard on Bitcoin. Grown men are going to weep when that happens. You'll never see a loss of capital like that ever in your life. Yeah, it'll be brutal. Okay, and I'm just saying you got to get ready for it.
To that point,
listen, I'm ready to risk the rest of the. I got $52 here. I could lose it all, and I don't know where 1-800 operators are standing by to explain what happened. Yeah. It's not going to. This is just ether. That's all it is.
He just happens to say ether, and so I think he just signaled to us that Bitcoin and ether are not the ones. I don't think it's a coincidence. I also don't think it's a coincidence that another one of our bad guys that has come out of this thing is Vitalik Buterin. Remember, Vitalik Buterin was on the couch of Stefan Thomas, who was one of the creators of the XRP or the Interledger Protocol, okay? This guy then left there and formed and started Ethereum, okay? Now, so he comes out and shows his face as one of the bad guys, and that's not for Ripple and XRP. And I think there's a reason for that. This is where this starts to get really interesting. There's a reason. These guys feel threatened. That's the reason they came out, okay? This guy said it right here. I don't believe Vitalik thinks XRP is a shitcoin. If he wanted to say that he could have any time in the last 7 years, I think the recent developments of Flare XRP is a real threat, and I think he is scared. This is a normal reaction. This is a competitive industry. Also, consider this. The recent proposed regulations do not favor DeFi, nor Ethereum, but actually smart, compliant companies like Ripple. I think the stress and competition is bringing out the worst in some. Now, so let's look at this. This is, I couldn't resist last night. This is digging back into Swell. This was tweeted out last night, a reply to some tweet of mine. Digging back into Swell to find gems of why XRP is not a security. And look who you see. This is Vitalik Buterin, and I said, nice unicorn shirt. He's wearing a unicorn shirt with all these people in business. So anyway, the point is that there he is at Swell 2017, and there's Stefan Thomas right there. And now he's turncoating, and when he's kicking Ripple when he thinks they're down. Key word is thinks. Okay? Thinks they're down. All right? So then we go to here. Esoteric XRP was on fire last night, and I was reading some of these tweets. Remember, these are some of the people that seem to know things and disappeared off Twitter over the last 2 years. This is from Rachel Lee. We got to be a little quicker with our thinking. Bitcoin and Ethereum are inferior to XRP, but XRP is being played down like an underdog, but it's going to rise like the phoenix, and it is to save the day soon. Okay? This is key, folks, because this is the core of this thing. XRP is being played down. It's been played down all along, and Bitcoin and Ethereum are inferior. Remember, Ryan Zagon said proof of work does not work, and they all know that. Okay? But there's other things that make Bitcoin vulnerable. Here we go. All right? So I wanted to point this out because we just talked about Flare. I find this fascinating. So SEC charges Ripple on December 22nd, 10 days after Flare. You would think, now here they are. They've obviously been spending a lot of time with this case and everything, right? It's been 8 years. So of all the times for you to file this thing, why would you wait till 10 days after the Flare drop? And the other thing is, the other question I had all along, I've talked to my father, the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel, about this. The Flare thing, I was very suspect of the Flare thing at first, and I was sitting there watching it, and then all of a sudden, like dominoes, everybody got in line. And when I saw Coinbase and Kraken get in line, that was when I knew there was something going on, something that I didn't quite understand, but there was more powerful forces behind the scenes than I realized. When Coinbase doesn't just fall in line for some random airdrop for nothing. It just doesn't happen. They don't fall in line for hardly anything. Okay? So you got that. And then right in the midst of all of this drama, let's hope that we don't, surely I didn't lose my internet. Here we go. So right in the midst of all of the drama of the Ripple SEC suit, Flare tweets this out, retweets this person's tweet. They say, imagine a scenario where XRP is a part of DeFi, vaults, synthetics, CDs. And then Flare retweets it and says, imagine. And that's right in the middle. That's December 24th, Christmas Eve, right in the middle of all this drama. So let's draw your attention back to a little tiny, itsy-weetsy, bitsy, tiny little problem that Bitcoin does have. Nobody disputes this. Quantum computers could crack Bitcoin by 2022. I want to draw your attention to a line that I highlighted in here. Some experts told Decrypt that it's already too late for Bitcoin. Quantum computers developed in secrecy by governments could corrupt the blockchain in just a few years' time. Now remember, all we've been told for the last year or two, anytime you bring up quantum, that's a horrible thing for you to say because this is 10 or 20 years out. But while we've all been hearing this word, and words mean things, and there's a reason we're hearing quantum computing thrown around left and freaking right. I've seen article after article where it's just all of a sudden everywhere, okay? There are no coincidences, and you show me enough things, and eventually I'm going to say, wait a minute, my ding, something's going on here. This is what I think is going on. I think Bitcoin, I think proof of work was a test, and I don't know what government put it out, but Bitcoin was not just put out by some Satoshi Nakamoto guy in his bathrobe. This was done by a government. I believe the plan all along was to destroy it. And I believe this whole XRP Ripple thing's a ruse. That's what I think. Watch what I'm about to show you now. So some experts told Decrypt that it's already too late for Bitcoin. Quantum computers developed in secrecy by governments could corrupt the blockchain in just a few years' time. So, and here's another question you need to ask yourself. They know, these people that are smart, they know that Bitcoin and proof of work would be crushed by quantum computing, and they know quantum computing is coming. So you know that these governments around the world would not put any major faith in proof of work when they know that quantum computing is coming at some point and it will crush it. So who's going to put their capital to work in that in any serious manner? They wouldn't, because they would risk everything. So let's go forward. So David Schwartz, over the course of the last couple of years, just keeps popping up around this whole discussion of quantum computing. So here, this was from July 10th, 2019. Great discussion today with leading cryptographer Shafi Goldwasser, director of the Simons Institute and professor of computer science, UC Berkeley, and Joel Katz, Ripple CTO and XRP Ledger architect, about cryptography and quantum computing. Wonder why he's wanting to do talks about that. Then all of a sudden, he shows up here, October 2nd of 2018, some quality time, Joel Katz discussing quantum resistant crypto, zero knowledge proof, on-chain scaling, thoughts, okay? So quantum resistant crypto, remember that phrase. XRP Crypto Wolf. The NSA is working to develop quantum resistant crypto. Quantum resistant crypto. Where have we heard that? Quantum resistant crypto. It was revealed during Billington's Cybersecurity 10th Annual Summit in D.C. Joel Katz, can you comment your thoughts on this since you used to work for the NSA? Joel Katz says, I'm glad to have the NSA working on a problem like the entire cryptocurrency space will need solutions to sooner or later. Obviously, we should all treat any new cryptographic primitives that originate with the NSA with skepticism and not rush to adopt them, right? Then this lady had tweeted this out to Joel Katz in 2018. While we are about 2 years, well, this was in 2018, so that 2 years would be 2020, or a bit more away from the practical quantum computer that can break RSA keys, do you think it's a threat for cryptocurrency, specifically XRP on Ripple? If not, why? It's definitely a threat. Fortunately, it's not that difficult to add new crypto algorithms to the XRP ledger, and you can keep your existing receiving addresses as well. We added, whatever that is, I'm not a techie, in 2015. The main reason that we haven't added quantum resistant algorithms yet is that all existing ones I know of have limitations that make them suboptimal for our use case. And anything we add, we have to keep more or less forever, since removing it makes some accounts inaccessible. So as of January 7th, 2018, they haven't added quantum resistant algorithm. My question is that what Flare represents? So remember this? This is when Flare, everybody was talking about Flare and why it was going to be so important. this article, 10 Reasons to Obtain and Maintain Spark Tokens. And while I read you this, I want you to remember the SEC lawsuit against Ripple. It's all over Ripple selling XRP, right? Let's go to this part right here. Distribution of Spark tokens among a base of clients who already have undergone the KYC filter and can now legally receive tokens, aside from managing a decentralization because one knows approximately Let's get down to this point. We can affirm that the XRP network is largely a decentralized one. We must add to this the absence of specific efforts to sell tokens. Almost like they knew. The commercial costs will be, and then they focus on the commercial cost and But let me read that again. We must add to this the absence of specific efforts to sell the tokens. So these guys are not susceptible to what the SEC is saying about Ripple right now, almost by design. Now, this guy tweeted this out. Make no mistake, Flare plus XRP, XLM currencies are the foundation of the quantum financial system. With the Spark snapshot, you have been handed the keys to the kingdom. FlareX enables users of the Flare network to swap currencies and earn passive income, providing liquidity to liquidity pools, providing traders with decentralization on demand liquidity, DODL, through a simple and easy to use interface. I have a question for you all, folks. I have a question for you all. Is it possible that this flare, that this drop that was allowed to occur by the SEC before they dropped their lawsuit, is it possible that this, let me pull this back up. Remember this that I showed you at the beginning of this video? Expect a buyback. There are probably more reasons why than the following, but I think Ripple allowed retail investors like us to use XRP because our money and our transactions were needed to build and test the network. The buyback will probably go down as one of the most generous investor buybacks in history, though, to soften the blow, because soon as they get it all back, each XRP token will not be worth an ounce, but a kilo of gold, all the money on earth, digitized into only 100 billion tokens. My question for you is, Flare, is Spark, does it represent that buyback? Is that what it is? Because I'm still hung up on this. Dr. Neri Usher of Flare. Why is their chief scientist an expert, a PhD in quantum computing? Previous postdoctoral research, and this is her profile, quantum machine learning, worked in collaboration with Siemens on applications of quantum algorithms to healthcare and image recognition. Physics, MSc, I can barely even read these things. She's obviously so smart. But this is the part that I find interesting. She worked in collaboration with Siemens on applications of quantum algorithms, which kind of reminds me, it takes me back to Joel Katz. He says, we haven't added quantum resistant algorithms yet. I wonder if it's possible that this really smart girl here is involved in the addition of quantum algorithms to the XRP ledger. Okay, so then this guy says, what are Bitcoin's biggest threats and risks? This is a tweet from October 27th. There's not enough discussion on this. Comment or retweet with your thoughts. I just happened to catch this tweet. This guy, he said, number one, quantum computing cracking the proof of work hash algos. And then there's this. This guy is this Andreas Antonopoulos, one of the original Bitcoin maxis. Listen to what he says at the beginning of this video, because he doesn't deny that quantum computing is a threat. He just assumes, more or less, that nobody would do this.
A lot of people keep getting worried about quantum computing. We are nowhere near the level of quantum computing that would be needed. There is a small possibility. That some intelligence agencies are a decade or more ahead in their ability to do quantum computing. If that is the case, which we can't really tell, then they might be able to do things in the next decade to break Bitcoin's digital signature algorithm. But if they have a secret that important, they're unlikely to use it to attack.
Oh, of course, they'd be very unlikely to attack Bitcoin, even if they could. I mean, come on, you can't make this stuff up. Now, so, I keep bringing this back up. Early December 2020, China stakes its claim out of nowhere. China stakes its claim to quantum supremacy. Google trumpeted its quantum computer that outperformed a conventional supercomputer. A Chinese group says it's done the same with different technology. And the Chinese group, as I recall, said that theirs is trillions times faster than the Google quantum computer. But according to the Antonopoulos guy, they would never attack Bitcoin if they had this kind of technology, even if they had it, right? White House, this is from back in 2018, when Donald Trump in the White House, tonight Donald Trump signed the National Quantum Initiative Act into law to help drive American leadership in the QIS innovation. And since that time, we've seen further news pieces on this, right? Anybody catch this letter? This is from December 3rd of 2020. Some of you may forget this. Trump spy chief seeks SEC scrutiny of Chinese dominance in cryptocurrency. And as you come down here, it's John Ratcliffe, and he says he wrote a letter to the SEC chairman, Jay Clayton, earlier this month, pointing to concerns that the U.S. has about China's sway over digital currency, as more than half the world's cryptocurrency mining operations are located in that country, and how the Chinese government is mulling its own state-controlled digital currency that would make it tough for U.S.-based companies and innovations to compete. And then it says Chairman Clayton is committed to fostering innovation in digital assets and digital payment space consistent with U.S. investor protection and anti-money laundering laws. His work has included engaging directly with domestic and international counterparts, including acting comptroller Brooks, to ensure the U.S. can remain at the forefront of innovation, financial and market technologies. And then as we go down, here's the interesting part about this article. This is from the Washington Examiner. And the interesting part about this article is in the same article that they're making it clear that Jay Clayton is not only on the same team with the fact that Chinese dominance in cryptocurrency, which one's that? Bitcoin. Not only is he on the same team with the National Intelligence Director, but he's also on the same team with Brian Brooks. Okay. And then you go down further in the letter and it gets even more interesting because they just happened to talk to Stuart Alderoty. Ripple, one of the largest cryptocurrency companies in the U.S., directed the Washington Examiner to comments made by its general counsel, Stuart Alderoty, who warned about China's influence. The data doesn't lie. A vast majority of BTC's network infrastructure, chips, mining pools, software are all allocated to China or created by Chinese companies. This is not decentralization. The CCP wields absolute control in China, Alderoty said last week. He wrote in August that the Chinese government subsidizes the vast amounts of energy needed to fuel Bitcoin and Ether miners, and that at least 65% of Bitcoin mining is concentrated in China. He added, is the U.S. really willing to allow China to win this new technological and economic Cold War, and with it allow China to dictate important parts of a new global payment system? So what we're to believe, folks, is that all the indicators point to this company, Ripple, with a digital asset that they're working on the primary use case for that could change the world, that has all of the technological advantages over these proof-of-work coins. But what we're supposed to believe is that that's the one that the government decided to attack when all of the common sense indicators point to the fact that, no, that's not the one you would attack. You would attack the proof-of-work coins that could have been created in China or Russia. Now, moving along. This is why the other day I tweeted this in the midst of all this Ripple talk. Remember this? The question is, will Bitcoin recover from a government attack on Tether? Now, this was sent to me by CryptoDim this morning, just by pure coincidence. Listen to what Nouriel Roubini says here.
In case of Bitcoin, there is no income, there is no use, There is no utility. The only thing is a speculative, self-fulfilling kind of rise. And that rise is driven totally by manipulation. There have been academic study suggesting that this pseudo stable coin Tether is being created by fiat. This year alone, the increase in the supply of Tether has been another 16 billion out of the initial 4, so it's 20. And every time the price of Bitcoin goes down, literally overnight they issue more of this Tether that is used literally to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. So the price of Bitcoin is totally manipulated by a bunch of people, by a bunch of whales, doesn't have any fundamental value. And like in 2017, when it went from 1,000 to 2,000, and then in 18 it crashed from 20,000 down to 3,000, I think we're close to the point in which this hyperbolic bubble is going to go bust. And it's going to go bust because law enforcement authority are having an investigation of Tether and of the company behind it. And in my view, like in the case of BitMEX, that was the biggest scam and criminal derivative cryptocurrency house, has been indicted. You can have an indictment also of those who are behind Tether. When that's occurring in the next few months, there'll be a crash of Bitcoin.
No, for some reason that
Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies, they're not even currencies. They're shit coins.
I think, look, I'm pretty sure I heard him the right way, that Tether is about to be investigated or is being investigated. I believe that's where the real fire is. And I believe that this video I'm doing right now should terrify these Bitcoin maxis, because I'll say it again. XRP is the one. XRP was always the one and is going to be the one. And everything about XRP has always made sense. And my father, the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel, always told me, he always made money on investments that he made that made sense. Now, it doesn't make any sense, the allegations, all this security stuff. XRP doesn't even make sense as a security. Nothing about the lawsuit makes sense. The investment makes sense. It's always made sense. That what it represents has always made sense. Now, I want to warn some of you, if you've got any kids, you're going to want to put your hands over their ears, because you've got to hear this to finish off this video if you've never heard it. This is Dan Pena. He's like a motivational guy. And he told everybody a long time ago, but listen up to what he says.
But we have no investment.
There's language, so take your kids out of the room.
Everything's cash. None.
Why no Bitcoins and why no cryptocurrency?
Well, Bitcoins, I called the top of the market in December 2017 when it was $19,600. I said, if you have Bitcoin, sell half, keep half. This is the top. Nobody listened to me. If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you fucking could to sell it. I know. 100%. If you knew who owned Bitcoin or who started Bitcoin, and you had Bitcoin, you couldn't sleep at night. I know. 100%. And when the real founder of Bitcoin comes out, it is my humble opinion, and there's nothing humble about me, Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
One day.
And a microsecond, whoop, like that.
Then
I'm here to tell you, I believe that someone somewhere has a plan to use this quantum computing against these proof of work coins. I don't know how this unfolds, but I think that it's going to be, I think that it is like what's his face said, the guy from Shark Tank, the grown men will weep. I look forward to watching some of those grown men weep, because some of them have been really nasty to those of us that have been in the XRP thing for a long time. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that XRP is the one. It's always been the one. And it's obvious. Thank you for listening.
Every day, billions of people around the world are mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, and embarrassed by their friends, family, and even strangers. These people go through their days knowing there are secrets being kept from them. They hear the faint whispers behind closed doors. The information and knowledge is held very close and only shared with others who were fortunate enough to find out. Feeling lost, rejected, and ostracized, these people give up, never finding out what digital assets the digital asset investor holds. But there is hope. Join the free Digital Asset Investor email newsletter and find out what digital assets he owns each month, including investments he's considering. Click the link in the description of this video or go to digitalassetinvestornewsletter.com. Put an end to your days of gloom and depression. Join the greatest free digital asset email newsletter ever created.